PodcastCoug S1Ep003.
You're listening to the PodcastCoug Radio Network with your host, James Laurie. The PodcastCoug is your weekly Coug on Demand show featuring all things Cougs and Washington State Cougar football. And now, here is your host, PodcastCoug.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and welcome to the PodcastCoug Radio Network. I'm James Laurie, your PodcastCoug, and we are so glad you're back. We are in Week 3, Week 12, Episode 3. Actually, Season 1, Episode 3. Welcome back, all my friends at Wazoo Watch. I'm M.I. Coug, been around for 15 years, was a moderator on the board with Coug Zone for about 13 of the 15 years, and here we are, and all my friends and all the Coug fans out there, welcome back. We are in Episode 3. We are in Week 12. We're coming out, and by the way, this is the whole idea of the podcast. You're out there, if you're a hardcore Coug fan, you are gathering information, everything you can read throughout the week, all the newspapers, the press conferences, the YouTube videos. You might be hitting up some other podcasts, but this is to get you through. The PodcastCoug is to get you through from that Sunday from last week, the day after, to the following game day, to Saturday, all right? We are heading into Boulder, and today we're going to talk about, it's really two parts. The first half, we're going to talk about Berkeley, California. I always call them Berkeley, the Berkeley boys. It was a Pullman game, but we're going to talk about the Cal game and a little bit, and then we're going to get in the second half, we're going to talk about, obviously, Boulder and the Buffaloes, Colorado Buffaloes game, and some other stuff with Barber and whatnot. So that's the program today. Now, 1 week, this is the week. We are King of the North. All right, we are the King of the North of the Pac-12. We're 22nd ranked. Our 56-21 blowout over Cal on Saturday night. The Berkeley boys, obviously, we struggled so long with those guys for decades. In addition, we had that USC, the Southern Cal upset over Montlake. Let me rephrase that. Over number 4, Montlake. Right? Which means that we are the only undefeated team in the entire Pac-12 conference. All right, both North and South. The Cougs, again, let's listen to that. It sounds great. We are, Washington State is the only undefeated team here at Week 12 in the Pac-12 conference. That's great to hear, but we're not finished yet. And 8-2 overall, 7-0 in the Pac-12. The California game, the Bears have a good offense, the Bear Raid. And quarterback Davis Webb did a great job. He really did. It's just that Berkeley has no defense whatsoever. They don't. And I would say if you're going to rank the teams in terms of performance, I would say Arizona is probably the bottom. They're probably the worst team. They're total rebuild. And then we got Oregon State, and then we got Cal. So Cal isn't, really a good team. Their offense is strong, but it was another blowout. And they're in a rebuild with Sonny Dykes and the Bear Raid. And what's funny is that for decades, Cal has always been tough. Always. Can't remember the last time we blew them out. I mean, we're going back from the late 90s. I think we had a great, with our Rose Bowl year, 97, but past that in all of the 2000, I mean, Cal has been difficult, and they've had our back almost every time. So this was a great game, and there was just really no threat. Now, this was a milestone. A little bit. If you think about the back-to-back blowouts with Arizona and California, by the numbers, the win was historic in several counts, 50. Now, this to me, this sort of statistic, I'm pretty shocked. I don't even know if it's factual, but this is the first time in Coug history, in Washington State history, we've had 50 points in 2 consecutive conference games. Now, I have a hard time to believe that. I really do. I cannot believe we've not had 2 back-to-back conference games over 50 points, because I've remembered many blowouts on years we're going to bowl games, and there it is. Maybe there was a non-con in there, a non-con and a conference, but I guess 2 conference games over 50 points with that Arizona win, that 69-7 Arizona win on November 5th, and of course the Pullman-Berkeley game 56-21 over the Bears, all right? So, 84 career touchdown passes for Luke Falk. He's getting close to Connor Halliday at 90 for school history, all right? Connor still has the record for 90, but that's where he's 6 away for tying Connor Halliday. 7-0, that's the conference play, first time ever. And Gabe Marks hauled in a 7-yard touchdown pass from Luke right in the corner of the end zone with 7 minutes left. And he broke Colorado receivers Nelson Spruce's record to become the Pac-12 all-time leader in career receptions. That's huge. Again, all-time leader in career receptions for the Pac-12. Gabe's 295th catch. And it also helped him break Marquis Wilson's to become the Cougs' all-time leader in receiving yards. All right, Gabe now has 3,328 career yards, and there's 3 games remaining. So at least 3 games remaining. So Saturday's win over Cal was bittersweet, of course. Great to have the win, but it was sad to lose River Craycraft as he tore his left knee ACL near the end of the third quarter. Why, Mr. Leach, who is a genius, okay? If you make it on 60 Minutes, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, if you make it on 60 Minutes, you are a very, very exceptional person. You're a genius or you are extremely exceptional. All right? Why? If you're a genius, do you keep in? I mean, even Gabe played all the way almost to the end. I mean, at the end of near the end of the third quarter, we were already up by like 21 points. We could have easily pulled River and keep him on the sidelines and pull the backups. I mean, but it's very sad, very bittersweet that River has ended his career as a Coug. His last game, though, came out strong, finished as the leading receiver with 9 receptions, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. What a way to go out and show those NFL scouts, that aren't going to see fresh film. He won't make, he ended his career day last Saturday, his college career. He's not going to be ready for the NFL Combine, won't be necessarily ready for the draft. But hopefully he will be picked up. He should be picked up. It's very unfortunate. I always say a setback is a setup, and this will hopefully set him up for something better. But it's very unfortunate. But he's got a lot of film on him, and yeah, he'll go. I'm sure he's going to be picked up. Okay, it's just sad that he didn't go out normal, but that's the way it is. Now, who's going to replace River? We got Robert Lewis, Kyle Sweet, and John Thompson, the 3 highest slot receivers we have. So they're going to step up. Robert Lewis, Kyle Sweet, and John Thompson. Now, with the win over the Cal, the Cougs became the first-time Pac-12 history in the history of the conference to start 7-0 in conference play, and the first 8-game winning streak since 1930. All right, 8 straight since 1930. And this is interesting. We are one of the 3 Power 5 teams nationally. All right, we've only got 3 that are undefeated in conference play. Of course, you got Nick Saban, number 1 Alabama, number 11 Oklahoma, and Washington State. And we should be higher than 22. And there is some East Coast. There are people who were just not getting that respect. And there's a discussion on this. The USCs of the world who debuted last week at number 20. Or the week before, it's unfortunate that, of course, we know that we lost to FCS Eastern Washington, but winning solves everything. So if you want to make the top 10, you're just going to have to win the rest out. But here we are, number 22. We are one of 3 teams in the United States that are undefeated in conference play. Also, that sets up, it's great. Back to the Cal game, by the way, okay? The Cal game, we started off great, right? Caleb Fossum broke a 75-yard punt return for a touchdown. Right out of the gate, it was 7-0. And it was the first punt return since 05. That's been 11 years. Uncharted waters for the Coug program. You know, we the last decade with Paul Wolf has just been very, very dormant. And here we are. You know, we played the Sun Bowl last year against Miami. That bowl game that we lost from bad time management with Colorado State. That was Mike Leach's second year. So we've had 2 bowl games under Leach. We're going to a third. But this is uncharted waters, what we are in right now, being undefeated. 2 tough games, of course. Everybody's talking about Boulder. Everybody. You've got what I call bandwagon, but this is bandwagon. I mean, you've got, I can only speak for King County because I live here. But King County, I mean, everybody knows, including all the Huskies, that what the status of the Cougs are, assuming they follow sports, all right, or even remotely, okay, reading the newspaper or watching TV, everybody. So here we are, we've got Colorado on Saturday, and of course the Huskies, and it's so hard to not think about the Apple Cup, and Huskies are number 6, Colorado number 12. Right now we're in the driver's seat seeking the Pac-12 North title, and our first appearance in the Pac-12 championship game, and perhaps the first Rose Bowl bid in 14 years. But we're just going to take one game at a time. We're talking about Colorado. We're going to talk about that after the break. You know, with a couple games left, Buffalo, Colorado, it's just going to be, it's just a huge thing. The local community, the bandwagon buzz, what's going on is huge. And everybody knows it, and so, you know, that's what I was going to say, Fox. So we're on Fox National on Saturday, 12:30 kick, Fox, and then the Huskies, who they are going to beat Arizona State. They're playing Arizona State on Fox. So with both programs are on Fox National, the Cougs at 12:30 and the Huskies at 4:30. That's Fox back-to-back. That's kind of unusual. And, of course, Fox is picking up the Apple Cup on Friday, day after Thanksgiving. And there's a lot of discussion on how many students are going to be hanging around when they're supposed to be going home for Thanksgiving and they're off on school. So that's going to be very interesting. And we're going to talk about Robert Barber coming up. And Colorado, of course, the Buffaloes, our biggest test of the year, coming up right after the break.
Hey, Coug fans. You're podcasting with James Laurie and the PodcastCoug Radio Network. The PodcastCoug is your weekly Coug on Demand show, featuring all things Cougar football in Washington State. To help you get through the week, hit the subscribe button or check us out on iTunes, the App Store, iOS, Google Play, Stitcher, or at PodcastCoug.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of the PodcastCoug Radio Network. I'm James Laurie, your PodcastCoug, and we are back the second part. And boy, I'll tell you, a lot of great things to talk about on this second part of the program. Again, news in the week. Robert Barber is back. Can you believe it? What a surprise, right? What a surprise. Defensive lineman Robert Barber has been granted, he's been lifted the suspension, and he's allowed to return to the classroom and to the football field. He is going, according to Whitman County Courthouse, the judge, he is going to be suited up, ready to play at Boulder on our Colorado game, according to Grinch. Now, the question is, where has Barber's got to be in shape, right? If you're playing on Saturday, if you've been off for 1 or 2 months, right? Where have you been? Where have you been lifting that iron? Where? Not the student recreation center, not the SRC. If you've been banned from campus or suspended, right? Obviously, not the athletic, not the gym or the weight room, right, on campus for the Cougs. I'm sure that was off limits, and so when you're kicked off, you're kicked out, right? So where are you working out at? Are you going to Moscow? Are you going to downtown Pullman? Are you doing? I mean, where are you lifting where are you lifting weights? Okay. And so that's a question. I don't know if anybody can answer that. I mean, I'd love to know from Grinch, where has Barber been keeping up the fitness routine, the exercise, the lifting, and because he's ready to play. So this is going to be very exciting. He's back. Hey, also good news. We had a couple of good news. Tuesday night, Washington State got a commitment from Josh Talbot, a 3-star defensive back from Long Beach, California. That's right. Now, Josh, is a 3-star recruit coming out of Long Beach, highly regarded, committed to Washington State last night, or Tuesday night. He's considered the 7th best in the West, the 7th best recruit in the West. And get this, he's never visited Pullman before, ever. He's taking his official visit during the AC, the Apple Cup coming up next week. But he says he knows a lot of guys that are Cougs or have played for Washington State and know the campus and know the school and know Leach, so he's in. That's amazing. Never had an official visit until it will be coming up next week. Now, Talbot he received offers from Texas A&M, Oregon, Oklahoma, Georgia Tech, UCLA, Florida, Arizona, and Colorado. So that's great news. Hey, we have with three great news this week. We got Barber, the recruit that just committed, and the third, obviously, great news is Luke Falk is a finalist for the Burlsworth Trophy Award, and that is the nation's best football player who started his career as a walk-on. Now, last year, Falk and Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield and Northwestern receiver Austin Carr were the 3 finalists for the award. Actually, the 3 finalists this year for the award. And again, it's a guy from Oklahoma, quarterback. His name is Mayfield. And then we got somebody from the Northwestern Wildcats, Austin Carr. Now, Mayfield and Falk were there last year for the Burleson Trophy Award, and they were finalists last year, 2015. We think that Falk has an edge for this year's voting, for this year's winner of the Burleson Award, and that's going to be announced December 5th in Springdale, Arkansas. Last year, he went down with his parents, and and I met his mom, Annalie. She's great. So that's great news for that. And more about, from Mike Leach, he's, quoting some stuff about Luke. He's saying, hey, look at his percentage. Look at the touchdowns and how many times he's been exposed to throwing the ball. Look at how he's managing. He's a great manager. Look at all the attempts. Look at the completion percentage and what he does. Mike Leach is saying, and Mike Leach is Mike Leach, right? I mean, he's quarterbacks, right? He's saying Luke is one of the steadiest quarterbacks he's ever had, and he's the same guy every day. He does such a great job at being the same guy every day and stay focused, where a lot of other guys just can't. When your ego gets to you, you falter. And he's just the best quarterback in the league. There's no question about it. And if you just take for a moment to think about that, every time Luke is given praise, every single time, he always says it's his team. It's the other guys. I can't do it without the team. He never ever gives a compliment or thanks you for the compliment. He'll always reply that it's the entire team. And what matters to Luke is that we're unbeaten in conference play and we're going to the Rose Bowl. We have a chance to go to the Rose Bowl the first time in 14 years. That's his drive. And he also likes to always reflect on his setback that got him here. He appreciates Saturdays, running out there and being the lead guy. He remembers, he was the 7th quarterback in the depth chart as a walk-on, paying his own way. And he doesn't take the things for granted. Okay. For instance, he appreciates a lot of things like swiping his card, his Cougar card for lunch and dinner. And he didn't get that his first year here. He had to sit out. He had to sit outside the cafeteria, and Cole Madison actually brought him some food and some good stuff and took it over to Luke. Can you imagine filling up a napkin with food and walking out and giving it to Luke because Luke doesn't get the food for free? That's amazing, okay? So he doesn't take anything for granted, and I think it's great. It's a good principle when you start in it, when you're building something great, when you're starting a business, you start in a garage. And if you look at most companies, whether you're the Boeing company or Microsoft, you name it, Amazon, everybody starts in a garage. IBM, they all do. And it's great to start at a humble beginning, and here we are. So, week 12. All right, look at now. Something interesting about the schedule this week. I wish it was consistent. We've got USC playing at UCLA, 7:30 on ESPN on Saturday. All right, that is a rival game. Now, we know that USC ends their season at Notre Dame. Okay, but take a look at this Saturday. The rival game is being played, and it shouldn't be that way. Do you agree? A rival game should be on the night or the week of the 19th. When we're playing on Friday, it should be that Saturday when you got Cal and Stanford and Oregon State, Arizona State. Nope, it's not like the old days. Okay, so it's unfortunate. We got USC at UCLA on Saturday. That's this Saturday, and then the rest of the Pac-12 is going to be in the rival play. The weekend we're playing Washington. Okay, so let's talk about Colorado. Of course, Folsom Field, 12:30. Mike McIntyre. He's 18-29 at Colorado. He's been there 4 years. We're a 4.5 point underdog, and it's very important. I thought we're 14.5 points. I think we're a 14.5 point underdog. I've got 4.5 in front of me. For some reason, I thought we're 14. McIntyre hasn't had a lot of success, but he's got a lot of seniors this year, which is making the big difference, and they are strong. Their defense is phenomenal. Last year, the Cougs beat Colorado 27-3 with their starting quarterback Sefo Lufau. That's what it is. Sefo Lufau. He actually did not play last year in Pullman. He was out with an injury when the Buffaloes came to Pullman last November. We still won 27-3, and of course, if you remember that game, right? Luke. Now, even though we had the victory, a huge loss. Luke was taken off the field in a backboard the third quarter after taking a huge hit from a defensive tackle guy. And Luke was out, sustained a concussion, sat out the next game, did not play in the Apple Cup against the Huskies. So there was a setback during that game. It was very unfortunate, even though we beat Colorado, and they had a horrible year last year. So last week, Colorado beat Arizona 49-24, scoring 28 unanswered points in the second and third quarters to go up 42-10 by the start of the fourth quarter. We talked about their quarterback, Sefo Lufau. Sefo Lufau. That's an interesting name. Now, he has had tons of injuries throughout his career at Colorado, okay? But he's healthy now, and he's raring to go. He is healthy. Some of their other key players have got a running back, Philip Lindsay. He's a junior, and Lindsay gives the Buffs tremendous balance on their offense. And he leads Colorado with 13 rushing TDs this season, coming off of a 119-yard rushing performance against the Wildcats last week. He's got 937 rushing yards for the season. He's likely going to break the 1,000-yard mark against the Cougs. Watch out for running back Philip Lindsay. They've got a wide receiver, Shea Fields. He's a junior. He's the most explosive offensive player. He's averaging about 18 yards per reception, and has a total of eight TDs for the season. Got an outside linebacker, Jimmy Gilbert. He's a turnover machine, man. He leads the nation with 5 forced fumbles. Okay, this guy is man. He is something else. Jimmy Gilbert, 8.5 sacks this season, and we've only given up 2 sacks in the last 2 games. So can Jimmy Gilbert get through the Cougars' offensive line? We're going to find out. And remember, we're playing against the best defense we've seen. I don't think Colorado has faced a team with like us offensively, so this is going to be very interesting. Inside linebacker Kenneth Olabody. He's got 9 tackles against there. He had 9 tackles against Arizona. Olabody broke the 100 tackle mark for the season, and now he tops the Colorado defense with 102 total tackles. He's a 3-year starter. He's very experienced, and I'll tell you, he's probably one of the most experienced defenders for the Buffaloes. So what does this mean? What does this mean? I think that obviously this is the biggest test of the year, by far the biggest game and the biggest test of the year, of the season. We've never faced a defense like Colorado. They've never played anybody close to our offense. It's going to be huge. Now, are they taking us for granted or not? Or are they overlooking it? Not overlooking. Are they overconfident? That's the word. Are they overconfident? If you go over to the Buff sites, those fans are so confident, and they're overconfident. Now, they're not the players. They don't play the game. Colorado, because they have not been, this is all new to them. We woke up last year, right? We were at the Sun Bowl. We beat Miami at the Sun Bowl. So this is really year 2 of a total rebuild. Colorado, this is their first year. They have woken up. They're back. So they're totally stoked. They could be overconfident. They really could. And we could, steamroll them. Now, it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be our biggest challenge. I'm going to come down to my pick, okay? I rarely do I do this, but I don't know. It is so tough. But I'm going to go with Colorado 34-31, and the reason why, because if we do win, if we beat the Buffaloes, we're heading into the AC as an undefeated team in the conference play, and that is just shocking to me. And every single minute of all next week is going to be totally unbelievable if we beat Boulder. Okay? That's the bottom line. It's going to be just shocking, unbelievable. And you're talking about everybody coming out of the closet, all the Cougs, everywhere, the whole nation, flags everywhere. Break out your flag in your garage and hang it over your house deck. Show everybody your apartment deck. Show your pride everywhere. So here we are. Biggest game of the year on Saturday, and one more thing to consider. By the way, it is huge. Now think about, Colorado, this is their biggest game since 2002. And the reason why I say that, number 12 Colorado, number 20 Washington State, it's the first time 2 ranked teams have met on Folsom Field since 2002. The Buffaloes might be overconfident. They're just waking up to success. We've already been there from last year. I still think Colorado might have an edge on this game on Saturday. They might have an edge with their defense. We're going to see what happens. We're going to talk to you next week. Thanks so much for listening to the Podcast Coug. Go Cougs, and God bless.
You've been listening to the PodcastCoug Radio Network with your host, James Laurie. The PodcastCoug is your weekly Coug On Demand show featuring all things Cougs and Washington State Cougar football. This has been a presentation of the PodcastCoug Radio Network. Find us at PodcastCoug.com.